reading every day, and then I haven't posted in a while, and but I've posted on other channels, you know, because for some reason I feel the need to have like multiple channels with multiple different kinds of work in it. And why is that? Why would a person feel the need to compartmentalize their work? Well, lots of reasons. I mean, if people in real life know me on this channel and then I have other work and I'm not sure how they're going to respond to it, then I put that on another channel. It's, this is a conflict. Anyway, so today I want to share this unfinished art junk journal that I have been working on. For a while I figured I'd wait until it was finished to share it, but at this point I'm just like, let's just break the seal. Let's just talk about some things and share some things and see how we feel about it. Okay? Now this is a junk journal that I was working on video, so if you saw some of those videos a couple months ago, I was working on this. Anyway, let's take a look. First of all, I made this book out of paper bags, paper bags you get from, in my case, $1.25 Tree is where a lot of the bags came from. And so yeah, I made myself a nice little book out of that. Now these papers that I glued on top of the cover, I printed those using ink and Play-Doh. So Bratty Bree is a zine maker, and I saw she was doing this. You take the Play-Doh and then you press it into a texture, press it into the ink, and then print it on the paper. So this whole cover is made from prints of that, and then I painted on top of it with, some mixture of acrylic paint and whatever stuff. Anyway, let's check it out. You see all these ink designs. Thank you at Boo YouTube. Anyway, thank you. These designs, these are sort of like henna inspired designs, and I was making those circa 2014 when I was substitute teaching. So this whole journal, I'm calling it an art junk journal. I'm using a lot of things that are sort of art adjacent but aren't going to be like framed in and of themselves. So this is like a notebook. The faces that you see, these little faces, I had like a small little spiral notebook from like the dollar store, and I was just drawing weird little faces on them. And that was in probably 2017. And then as you can see here, I cut them out, pasted them in a composition, and then colored them and made them into part of the composition. Here you can see there's a weird kind of birth scene going on there with a person with a snake tongue for some reason. These images, this was also in 2017, probably the first time I've drawn those kind of images. And later I would go on to make more of those birth images. And those birth images are some of the most misunderstood work that I've ever made. And I don't really understand why, but some people have reacted pretty negatively to them. Now then, here's a new page here. We've got a couple more henna designs. We've got some mermaids. We have a couple more faces that I pasted in. One that is turned into a cat. Let's see. This mermaid, I'm not going to draw right now, but there's a lot of crazy stuff in here. You're going to see plenty, don't worry. Yeah, I like that mermaid there with the heart face and the webbed fins coming out of the head. That's a recurring thing that I'm exploring. And some of these papers that were pasted in, like this here and this here, were from like a watercolor workbook book. And that one too. Now this page I drew probably in like 2015. And it was from like a book, and like the book, like only a few pages were done in it, and then The book itself got like mold damage, so this is like one of the surviving pages. So it was easy to just like take the pages that survived, put it into this book, and then throw out the rest of the moldy, empty book, you know? So that's kind of like part of the art junk journal process that I am working on. A sketch of my feet. You see these skulls. This was from a sticker book, a Coco sticker book that I was doing with my kids. So I cut out some of those pieces. I love whatever's going on here. This is like a weird face here, and then I ended up drawing, like painting it coming out of some other dude's head. I like that. Another page from the 2015-16 book. What do we have here? Yep, some more of that. Very, very rough, weird little doodles from 2016 there. Some more stuff from the watercolor book. That I didn't even make. That's just like, it was in the book like that and I pasted it. So I'll have to draw something over that. But I put it in the book because the point of this is to use junk to take up space. Why am I getting a phone call? Hold on. That was, no one was there, so what a rude interruption. So as you can see, some of these things that I doodled on top were actually from this page. So this is one of those pages from the 2016, and then I just took those ideas and redrew them because that's how you develop ideas. You look through your old sketchbooks and you're like, oh, that's interesting, or that's weird, let me do it again. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and eventually it starts to morph of its own accord. And that is art process, man. Down here you see this little piano keys. I was drawing that in a practice room. Nice little realistic bit from a notebook, sketchbook. And then later, a couple months ago, I was practicing some of my calligraphy. So you can see that I was just filling in the blank spaces of that particular sketchbook with calligraphy. Put that in this book. I like this right here. This idea of, you know, a pattern recurring along a line. I was doing like the road of eyes that you might see. So you can see here, there's the same pattern recurring along a line. And here it's faces. And so that is going to recur. I like this with the multiple sets of boobs and a butt on the bottom. I don't know why, but is that a butt or is that a scrotum? I don't know. I guess it could be either. It doesn't matter. Here's more. Look, another piano with calligraphy on it. More faces that I still need to finish. Here's something interesting. Why do I have phalluses? I don't know. It's funny. They exist. You know, things that exist can be expressed. The entire scope of human activity lies within the artist's scope, right? And I don't know why some people have to say, well, a certain part of body is, it's inappropriate or it's offensive or it's bad. Well, it's part of you, so maybe don't judge yourself like that because that's cognitive dissonance. And here is a beautiful picture. That's the internal structure of a clitoris. If you didn't know, this is what a clitoris looks like on the inside. It's not just a little dot. There's actually, it's like this whole thing, you know? There's like bulbs, which is sort of like female testicles, right? And then there's like this whole thing. So clitoris is not just a little dot. It's a whole thing. Look it up for more information. I like how I started making this kind of sunrise coming out of the eyes because a long time ago I started sort of making like a third eye situation in the forehead. I don't know why I just started doing it, but then it became this like sunrise thing, which I think is very interesting. Some nice little lettering here, some more of the Coco sticker pages. All right, here. So I started seeing videos about the 100 head challenge on YouTube, which was like something that somebody on Pinterest posted where he selected 100 references, and you were supposed to, make them all in 10 days. I didn't do them all in 10 days, and I didn't do them all. I did about 80. But what I did, I think, definitely helped me. Um, Even though I must say the references that the person chose for this challenge, they were like, to me, they were like either all, young, Pinterest attractive people, or they were like statues. So there were only like these were like the only two old people humans in it. And there were like no fat people, basically no ugly people. It was either, Pinterest attractive people, young people with parted lips, or statues. But that's why you can find your own references and do whatever you want. You don't have to. A challenge is a challenge, and you can always make your own challenge. Here is a lovely page from a sticker book. I bought this lovely sticker book for $7 because sometimes sticker books are fun to do. It's a nice mindless activity, and if you're recreating masterpieces, you can learn a little bit of something. I'm not really that into Degas, whoever this is, but there's a ballerina for you. Now what are these things? I don't know. Weird little penisy dudes, because it's funny, and none of them are crooks, as they are indicating to you with their hand gestures and manual "I am not a crook" gestures. I love not being a crook and telling you with double peace signs. It's the best stuff, Whenever I saw Mrs. Doubtfire for the first time, and he did that with the lobster, and he said, "I am not a crook," I knew there was something there, and I always thought it was the funniest thing. And it was only like much later that I was like, okay, that's Nixon. And then, of course, I got into the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they had Nixon doing his, the people of America have a right to know if their president is a crook. Well, I am not a crook. And I thought it was so freaking hilarious that I started doing his voice. And the first time I really did his voice was for like a longer thing, was when I was reading Green Eggs and Ham, and I would eat them in a house, and I will eat them with a mouse, and I will eat them here or there, and I will eat them everywhere. And that was really one of the first times that I really leaned into doing voices, because when I was younger, my mother would always put on Coal Miner's Daughter, and I would do like an imitation. You sound like a big old Bear Grylls, and she thought it was so funny, and she would make me do it on the phone to show her friends that I could do this funny impression. I didn't think it was that funny. Like, I didn't think I was that good at it, because when it came out, when I heard myself doing it, I didn't think it was that good, so I didn't really do it. And then it was only decades later that I was like, okay, let me just lean into this and try to do these voices and have fun with it. And lo and behold, when you actually just keep doing something, it develops, and then all of a sudden you're making a full-length movie of an Oscar Wilde play, all with your own voices. And all it took was being like, okay, I'm just going to read on YouTube every single day, and it goes from sitting on your bed reading essays to making an entire movie complete with drawings and music. And that's what happens when you just keep showing up and you keep doing stuff. It's amazing. Some more of the 100 Heads Challenge. These went in chronological order, so they're getting better, as you can see. They're also getting bigger because I started with the smallest notebooks for the first few, and then I went to the larger little sketchbooks. And that's also a really, really good technique, You start really small, smaller than you really want to. But when you start really small, all of a sudden it's a lot easier to go big and do it well. So these were more of these little faces from that small notebook that I drew all those little weird faces in. Then I pasted the weird faces on this book, and then I turned them into an entire landscape of figures. And I just love that. I think it's great. Here's some more of my head. Some of these are getting pretty good. I think that one's pretty good. This looks like Jennifer Connelly to me, although it's not. It just kind of looks like her to me. Sitting with my kids. It's a nice little large piece of newsprint paper. Here's some more of the 100 Heads. I think some of these came out well. That I think looks good. I like that one. I love the pink and green here. Of course, pink and green are opposite colors, and opposite colors can always create a striking contrast. And as I said before, this book is not finished, and as we get towards the end of the book, it's going to look even less finished. But we're just getting on here to show what we have and break the seal of not having posted for a very long time. Here we have pieces of things that were cut up and glued down, and I have to make something out of that. But even from a long time ago, I started taking paintings that I wasn't totally satisfied with and cutting them into pieces, like cutting them into postcards, and then the postcards would be a finished product. Later, I started cutting them into like greeting cards, and then of course, once you cut them, you might need to put something else on top of them to make them work. Oh, by the way, there's another clitoris. Beautiful. And so it's like layering, you know, sometimes you're adding stuff, sometimes you're taking stuff away. You know, you have to tear down to rebuild, right? Save your materials. Don't throw stuff out, you know? Why would you want to throw stuff out? Here is some calligraphy from, I was copying something out of the Ladies' Almanac, which last year I did do a full reading of the whole book along with my original music, and you can find it on this channel. Actually, I have noticed recently it looks like some people have been watching those videos, which makes me glad because I think it's a lovely book. I thought that my rendition was, you know, perfectly reasonable. I love to listen to audiobooks myself because I'm often doing other stuff with my hands, and so I can just listen to a book and then multitask, right? This is called a spiroglyphic, so yet another fun, mindless activity, you know, like diamond paintings. It's like, I like to do a diamond painting when I'm sick and not feeling well sometimes. Spiroglyphs and dot-to-dots and sticker books, and they're all kind of similar for me. It's like an art adjacent thing, a craft adjacent thing that I can do when I'm not feeling as much of a creative spark, but it still gives me a fun result. Here's some more stuff that I cut up and pasted down. This snake thing. So last year I was getting into Orla Stevens and Helen B. Wells, both of whose videos I do still watch and enjoy to this day. And so I started playing with a little bit more collage, you know, with the shapes and cutting them out and stuff. So that's something that was floating around because it came off of the page, and I was like, I'm not going to throw this snake away. Where can I put it? Hey, that's what this art junk journal is for. Sometimes it's really here for, you know, the orphans, things that got lost, things that are just kind of floating. And it's also, especially with this, you can see a lot of these are from the same small sketchbook. You know, at a certain point, if your sketchbooks really start piling up, and you can't be moving all that much stuff, you gotta take some of the best stuff and get rid of the rest, you know, in those times when you really have to throw stuff out. So like, I'll take the best sketches out of something and put them in here, or put them in a scrapbook, or... So yeah, those are some ink washes. Here's another sticker poster by, was that Caravaggio? That guy was, that guy was different, right? I don't know too much about him, but I feel like, didn't he kill somebody? He like to fight people and killed somebody. Yeah, that's illegal. So, oh, here's something. This is a drawing that I've then made into a very large painting, which was damaged in transport, so that I cut it down into books, and I made a whole bunch of books. I sold some of them, and then the rest were lost because I lost my entire inventory due to unfortunate circumstances. And but you know what? I still have the concept. I still have the idea. I can make more paintings of that, and they will come out better, and they won't have to be damaged. Also because when I painted that really large painting, I was still in the habit of just using a ton of paint, leaving my palettes out, overnight over the course of days, so that my painting would become very lumpy, very clumpy, and then it would just be so thick on the canvas that it was still wet like 2 years later, right? Because it was so thick. I love this here. This was the sketch I did with Conte crayon and then ink wash, and I loved how the Conte crayon reacted with the ink wash. I thought that was great. We're getting towards the end of this unfinished art junk journal. You can see these pieces that have hearts cut out of them. Those were, watercolor paintings that I cut down to make to cards, but then, hey, it's about to be Valentine's Day. I need Valentine's Day to give to the people at my job situation. So I cut some hearts out, and they were watercolor paper, so that was good. And then what remained, I pasted into this lovely art junk journal, because this art junk journal is here to receive stuff like that and to make something cool out of it, to then inform something even cooler later. What is this? Yeah, this is some more of that Lady's Almanac, calligraphy. This is a drawing I think I was doing with my kids. And here, we're at the end. Now we're going to look at the cover. This is a very, very large book that was made out of the lovely paper bags. And I'm glad that we're getting paper bags instead of plastic bags, because paper is not plastic, and you can do stuff with it. I mean, of course you can do stuff with all the old plastic bags. You can crochet with it, you can, but at the same time, probably most people weren't, and there's probably more plastic waste that does not biodegrade as well as paper bags. We have some lovely henna-inspired design. We have the people going along a line, and in this case, they're different. It's not all the same repeated pattern. It's really just like, hey, I'm walking down a road and I'm seeing all these different people. And that is going to conclude our video today of sharing all this lovely, weird art adjacent junk journaling stuff. And you know what, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know, because I have no idea who is and isn't enjoying my content, and not knowing is the worst part. And if you're curious about all the other channels that I have out there where I post all my other stuff that I don't want other people to see, let me know too, because maybe, who knows, maybe I'll start integrating all these different things and stop being like a split personality on YouTube. My personality isn't split, it's just my work. It's just my work that it has to be compartmentalized and placed all over the internet in different places, like multiple bird feeders with multiple different kinds of bird food for multiple different kinds of birds. I don't know. Do you know? I hope you'll leave me a comment if you know. Even though Doug Stanhope says that the secret is to not read the comments, I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'll see you later.